Hello and welcome. Today we're going to do a 30-minute yin class. And for today's class, you may or may not need 2 blocks, possibly a blanket if you need to prop up a little bit. But you will need a strap or a scarf or a belt. Something like a strap is definitely going to need it in today's class. We'll set those aside for now. And we'll start with today's quote by Stephen Covey. And that quote is, "Be patient with yourself. Self-growth is tender, it's holy ground. There's no greater investment." So be patient with yourself today as you go through today's class. And I'm going to explain what yin is as we go along. But I'm going to get you set up in the first pose, and then I'll start to explain what yin is. So we're going to start out in child's pose. So you can come on up to all fours, and then bring your big toes to touch, wide kneed, or you can have your knees closer together, whatever's best for you. And sit back on your heels. If you're a lot further up, you can use a block underneath of your seat, or you can use a blanket or a pillow. And you can also use a block additionally in front of you. Now we're going to be in this first pose for about 2 minutes while I explain about yin. So get comfortable in this pose. Get yourself set up and come forward any amount that you need. You can prop yourself up on blocks, blankets, pillows, whatever is going to work. And find a comfortable place that you can rest here for about 2 minutes. And while you're in that pose, I'm going to explain to you about yin. So yin is simply, it's a slower paced, or I should say slow paced, mostly seated postures and also lying down postures that are held for a longer period of time. They are usually anywhere from 45 seconds to 2 minutes plus, depending on your level. So for today's class, we're not going to hold anything longer than 2 minutes. For beginners, I feel like that's plenty of time to keep you in that pose. And what yin does is it will work with the fascia and the connective tissue. So it is wonderful at helping to loosen the fascia up and the connective tissue. Your fascia is very thick bands. The fascia actually is a band of connective tissue that's beneath the skin that will attach, stabilize, enclose, and separate muscles and other internal organs. And it can get really tight, especially if we don't move a lot in our lives. So this yin is really good at helping to open those things up and opening those spaces up with your connective tissue and your fascia. It also allows for plenty of quiet space for inner work. And this is one part of it that makes it challenging for some people. Most of us are so used to running from place to place to place that yin requires you to settle into pose, as you are right now. You've been in this pose for a little over a minute and a half. And it requires you to hold it for a little bit. But it also allows things to open up a lot more. So it can be challenging. Something to keep in mind during this yin practice is you want to go to about your 75%, 80% of your max, because you want to give your body a place to go. So we're going to go ahead and slowly come out of that child's pose. Just come up for a moment. See how you feel after that. That was a 2-minute hold there. And now what we're going to do is go into that same pose for 1 minute on each side. And we're going to simply bring both of our hands over to the left-hand side, making sure to ground that right hip down into your seat. So we're just going to stay in child's pose, but you're going to be twisted child's pose. So again, bring your head wherever you'd like to. And breathe here nice and deep. And we're going to hold that for about a minute before we're going to the other side. So while we're in this pose, I'd like to talk about some of the benefits of yin. And there's many. Some of them include they reduce stress and anxiety. It calms and balances your mind and body. It will increase the circulation in your body. It will also improve your flexibility. And obviously a big thing it does is releases fascia and improves joint mobility. And it will also balance your internal organs and improve the flow of prana, or life force energy, what we talk about in yoga. So from here, take a nice deep inhale, breathe in deeply through your nose, and come on all the way up on the exhale, and then we're going to go to the other side. So come back into your side, so bring both of your hands over to the right-hand side of your mat, keeping that left hip grounded down. Don't want that pop up. It's going to want to come with you. And bring your forehead either to a block or to the ground. And now you're in twisted child's pose on the right-hand side. We'll be here for 1 minute. So something I actually really enjoy yin classes because they do require you to slow down and you really get a nice stretch. You're in a pose long enough to really allow your tissue some time to let go, and you'll be able to see that you'll be able to get further in poses the longer that you're holding them. So again, don't go to your max right away. Let it kind of come naturally. Breathe deeply here. Notice your inhales and exhales, and just notice how your body is feeling. And from here, come on all the way back up. And now we're going to come into a cat-cow, and this one's just going to be a little fluid flow for a moment. So we're just going to have our hands on the ground and knees on the ground, about hip distance apart, shoulder width apart for your arms. And we're just going to do a few cat-cows. So inhale and look up, arch the back. Exhale and round in. Inhale and look up, arch the back. Exhale and round in. Once more. Inhale, look up, arch the back. Exhale and round in. For this next pose, we're going to thread our right arm underneath. So take your right arm and thread it behind your left hand, your left arm, and bring your right shoulder to the ground and the right side of your face to the ground. And get comfortable here. Don't go to your max. Again, about 75-80%. And hold this pose. Breathing here, nice and deep. Continue to breathe and notice how your body feels. And inhale, return back to center. Come back up and we'll do one cat-cow in between. Inhale and arch the lower back. Exhale and round the lower back. Come back to neutral spine, and now thread your left arm behind your right arm. Bring that down. Bring your chin, your side, the left side of your face onto the ground, and your left shoulder will be on the ground. And leave this right hand out wherever's comfortable. And again, give yourself a place to go to. So don't really crank open or twist really hard here. Ease into it because you're going to be here for a minute on this side. So take nice deep breaths in and out through the nose. Inhaling and exhaling. And just notice how your body feels. And notice that for a lot of us, our mind is going to want to try to wonder and start thinking about what we need to do after this, or try to quiet that. It will take some time. And don't get frustrated if you can't quiet your mind. Over time, that will come. Inhale and come back up to all fours. And now from here, we're going to come down onto our stomachs for Sphinx pose. So from here, lifting out of your hips, bring your chest forward, bring your chin up, looking out in front of you. And on the inhale, and then exhale and look over your right shoulder. Twisting your body and looking over. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, twist your body over to the left, or you're looking over your left shoulder. And inhale, come back to center. And from here, we're going to hold this pose about another minute or so. So your elbows are underneath of your shoulders, your hands are out in front of you. Just really notice how you're feeling in this pose. Keeping your chest coming forward and out of your hips. Breathing. And just see how you feel right now. And again, yin can be very challenging for a lot of people because we're used to just moving from one thing to the other. Hence why I think yin is such an important practice for all of us, especially in the modern day world that we live in. Just getting used to staying in a pose for a moment, being with our thoughts, being with whatever sensations that are in the body, and just noticing how you feel. And I should also point out, if we do get into any poses that we're holding, because I don't want to hold anything longer than 2 minutes, but if you find that you need to come out of the pose, then please come out of the pose. Listen to what your body says, and you can always come back into the pose. So if you need to take a break and come back in. All right, and from here, we're going to inhale and come all the way back up to all fours. Bring your feet all the way through, and now we're going to come to lie down on our backs, and we're going to grab our strap. So from here, lay on your back, take the strap, and you're going to either have your left leg will be bent or straight. You decide which way is best for you. Find what works best for you. I'm going to start with a bent leg. You're going to bring your right leg into your chest, and now take that strap, and we're going to strap it around the ball of our foot and stretch that leg straight up overhead. Now I need to keep an eye on the time, so I'm going to bring my timer with me here. So from here, you're just going to stretch all the way up and breathe here nice and deep. Again, don't go to your max. So maybe you need to start out here. And then over the course of the next minute, gradually, slowly, through breath and slow movements, bring it in to where you feel comfortable. If you'd like, you can straighten out that left leg on the mat or keep it bent. Listen to what your body is asking for today. Breathe here, in and out. These are going to be at your own pace. So you take breaths in and out at your own pace. Trying to straighten that leg the best you can, and if you need to have your leg out down here more, then do so. But gradually over time, maybe a millimeter or two, you're going to start to move that leg in a bit. So hold here for a few more breaths before we go into the next pose. So for today, all of our symmetrical poses, we're holding for 2 minutes, and everything that's one leg or one arm, we're going to hold for a minute. Which a minute doesn't seem that long until you're in a pose like this. And from here, you're now going to take both ends of the strap into your right hand, and now open up that right leg out to the right hand side. Any amount. You can keep it up here. You can bring it further down. You can use your elbows like a kickstand. Do your best to hold that leg out here. If you need to, and it really is too hard to hold your leg up, you could always place a block out and put your foot on a block. You can always come up and set yourself up for that pose or in that variation. So bring it to your degree, again, 75-80% of your max, and then see over time as you're breathing and as you're holding here if you can't open it up just a bit more. Making sure to keep this left hip grounded into the mat. Don't let that pop up. It's going to want to go with the right leg. Some more deep breaths here, in and out. And then on an inhale, bring that leg all the way back up, straight up overhead of you. And now take both ends of the strap in your left hand and now cross it over your body. We're not going to go really far today. We're not going to go for a full twist. We're just going to open up the side of the leg here into your hip flexor, your hamstrings. So come over. I'm about a 45-degree angle. And you should really feel that all along that right upper area of your leg into your hip socket and your hip flexors. You're getting a lot of opening here. So keep your chest pointed up toward the sky while you're doing this pose. Breathing, don't forget to breathe. It's really important in yin classes to breathe and just notice. If you have pain, then get out of the pose. If you have sensation, use your breath to be able to get into that and deal with that sensation. And now on the inhale, bring your leg back up, release the strap, release that right foot down to the ground. Take a moment just to notice the difference in the two sides. Shake your legs out if you need to. And from here, now you can bend in that right leg if you'd like to have it bent. And now bend your left leg into your chest and take that strap around your left ball of your foot and stretch it up toward the sky. Again, finding about that 75-80% of your max. And slowly, with breath and with time, you'll start to see it might start to move in a little bit. It might be barely anything, or it might be a lot, or maybe nothing. And if you'd like to, you can straighten out that right leg onto the mat or leave it bent. You choose. Find what works best for you. Breathing here. Nice, smooth, in and out, through the mouth, through the nose. Exhale. Take one more deep inhale and exhale. And now bring both ends of the strap into your your left hand. And now bring this leg out to the left. I don't have a lot of recording space here, so I'm going to have to leave my foot where it's at. But you can bring it as far out as you'd like to. Or if you have the luxury of having something to prop your leg up on that's close, this might help you in this pose. Remembering to keep that right hip grounded down because it wants to go with the left leg. So keep that grounded. Breathing here, opening up as you feel ready and steady. Or you can always use your elbow as a kickstand. Breathing here, in and out through the nose. And now we're going to inhale. Bring that leg back up to center. Back over here. And from there, now we're going to bring both of the ends of the strap into the right hand and now cross it across your body about a 45-degree angle or so, and really feel that stretch. I could feel it on my hamstrings, on the side of my upper thigh. Breathing here, breathing into that sensation and holding there. Remembering to breathe. You can close your eyes. That's a great thing to do in a yin class is close your eyes. And just notice. A couple more deep breaths. And inhale and bring that leg back up center. And now release the strap, release that leg down to the mat. And lie here just for a moment and notice the two sides. See if they're more balanced now. See how it feels. Shake out your legs a little bit. Stay here for a moment longer. Take another deep breath here. And from here, our next pose is pigeon. That's where we're going to bring one of our legs forward and the other one's back behind us. If you know that pose does not work for you, if you're not sure, here I'm going to go ahead and show you the variation that you can take instead. So for those that pigeon does not work, we're going to do what's like figure fours, one of the names for it. So you're going to take your right foot and now place it on top of your left shin. I'm sorry, your knee. Excuse me, knee. And from here, you can stay here if that's enough for you. Or if you'd like, reach through, grab a hold, and pull in any amount. So you're going to hold that one while we do pigeon. So that is the option for pigeon. All right, for those that are going to do pigeon, you can join me now. We're going to bring that right leg forward. The knee will be up toward the right edge of the mat. And to make this more accessible, bring this foot in closer to your hip instead of further away. The further away it is, the harder this pose will be. Your left leg will be extended out back long on the mat behind you. If you're in the figure four pose on your back, or if you decide this is not for you, go ahead and get into that pose. So we're going to hold this pose for 1 minute. So nestle in, settle in. You can use a block underneath of your seat if you'd like. If you need to be more upright. Find what's going to work for you for the next minute. So whether you're in the figure four pose on your back or in pigeon, settle into this. Get comfortable, keeping your hips both square and evenly across on the mat the best that you can. So try not to have one hip that's popping up over the other one too much. Try to keep them in line if you're in pigeon. And just breathe here for a moment and feel how this feels in your body. Whether you're in the figure four on your back or in pigeon. So come to wherever feels best for you. You can have your head on the mat if you'd like. You can stay more upright. Breathing here. Just feel that release in your hip flexors and the hip socket. Another nice deep breath in and out through the nose. And then we are going to do one down dog just to transition. Now, if you're on your back for the figure 4, go ahead and stay on your back. This is for those who are doing pigeon. It just helps to release that leg. So come into a nice, quick, brief down dog if you're doing pigeon. And now we're going to switch to the other side. So now step that left foot forward. Your left knee will be pointed up toward the top edge of your mat. This left foot will be closer to your hip to make it more accessible. Again, if you open it up more, it's harder. If you bring it up more parallel to your mat, it's going to make it harder. And if you're able to do that, then go for it. This is better for me. And then release that back leg. Remember, you're not going to your max in this pose. You're going about 75-80% of your max. Breathing, figure 4s. Go ahead and set yourselves up. You're going to have your left foot will be on top of your right knee, and then just put your hands through your legs and pull on your legs if you'd like, or leave them as you were. So you're either setting up for pigeon, and again, put something underneath your seat under your left seat. If you're in pigeon and you need to be upright more, you can stay upright, or you can settle in, come on down. Take some nice deep breaths here. So figure 4 or pigeon, either one, breathing in and out of your nose, nice and deep. And feel that opening in your hip flexors and your hip sockets. If pigeon bothers your knee at all, you can either adjust the way your foot is, and you can make sure you bring your toes down on the ground and engage them, or switch to that figure 4, because there's no reason to hurt your knee in this pose. You should be comfortable, or the best that you can be. So again, find where it's best for you. Settle in for a few more deep breaths here, in and out through your nose. And now for all of those you in pigeon, we're going to come out into a brief down dog. For those in figure 4, go ahead and come up to a seated position. We'll meet you there in a moment. Stretch out those legs from pigeon. And now we're going to come to a nice seat. And we're going to set up for a wide-legged seated forward fold, but we're going to start with one leg at a time. So we're going to bend, your left knee is in, and your right leg is going to come out straight out on the mat, out to the side, out to the right-hand side. So this left foot will be bent, and it can be further away from your body if you need it to be, wherever you want it to be. Your right leg should be nice and straight. Your kneecaps should be pointing up, or in this case, the kneecap should be pointing up toward the ceiling. So sit up nice and tall on your sitting bones. If you need to place something underneath your seat, please do that. And from here, we're just going to inhale, get tall, and exhale, fold forward any amount, remembering we're not going to our max. We're going to about 75-80%. Remember, that's really important in yin. We're going to hold this for about a minute. So come up to where you need to start, and then notice that over time you may start to come in a little bit deeper. If you already go at your max, then your body has nowhere to go in that time that you're holding it. So breathe here nice and deep. Keeping your toes point up toward the ceiling. You can give it a little bit of you can loosen up a little bit. When we're doing yin, we're not holding things quite as firm or as tight. We're kind of letting things go a little bit, letting the body ease into those poses. So this leg is a little bit more relaxed than it would be in a typical flow class or a hatha class. You should really feel that along your hamstrings, maybe in your hips. And from here, come back up. Sit here for just a moment. Breathe nice and deep. Close your eyes. Just see how you feel between the two sides. And now we're going to bring that right foot bent in, and now the left foot will be stretched out on our mat, long on the mat. Come up nice and sitting tall on your sitting bones. Kneecap will be facing toward the ceiling. Inhale here nice and tall, and exhale, fold forward any amount, remembering to come to about 75% of your max. I'm going to keep repeating that. You're eventually going to get it by the end of the class. You can relax this foot. It doesn't have to be nice and, because we're going to stay in this. This is a yin posture, so we're holding it. So this can be more passive on the left leg. Breathing here nice and deep. Notice the sensations. Notice your breath. Notice how you're feeling right now, especially in the fact that we've been holding these poses for longer than you're probably used to holding them. Now we're going to inhale and come all the way back up. And now, you've guessed it, we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So again, if you need to close that in a little bit, then do that. You don't want to go to your absolute max on your legs. So you find what is best for you. Sit up tall on your sitting bones. You can always stay up. We're going to hold this one for a minute. So you can stay upright on your fingertips, or use a block if you'd like, a blanket, pillow. You can let your feet kind of go passively. So those are going to be more in a passive. And you're just going to fold forward any amount, remembering not to go to your max. And hopefully, throughout this class now, you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with holding a pose longer, letting your mind kind of go. And if it wanders and start thinking about things, that's okay. Let it wander. But try to notice your breath and try to bring it back to your breath. Don't beat yourself up if you are unable to stop the thoughts. Yin doesn't look like a very challenging practice, but it's challenging for a lot of us because sitting still for an extended amount of time is difficult. All right, we're going to inhale, come back up to center. Now this time we're going to twist our body over to the right. So your chest and your torso is facing your right leg. And now we're going to fold over that right leg any amount. Again, if you need to stay more upright, stay upright. You're getting the twist of your torso. Keep this left hip grounded down on the ground. And exhale and fold forward any amount. Find what is best for you in this pose. If you want to keep your foot flexed, you can, or you can also let it go and be more passive. I find in yin it's easier and it's better to let the leg be a little bit more passive because you are holding it longer than a normal class. A normal pose would be in another class, like a vinyasa class. Breathing here, nice and deep. Remember, anytime a pose doesn't feel right, you need to back out of it and come out of it. Do so. Come out of it and wait till we're done, or go back into the pose if it feels all right to get back into it. Okay, on the inhale, bring yourself back up. Come back to center. Just stay here for a moment. Pause. See how you feel between the two sides. And now we're going to twist our body over the leg, over your left leg, looking out to the left. And then from here, you're going to exhale and fold forward any amount. Any amount. Breathing. Don't forget to breathe. And let those legs be loose and relaxed. That is the difference in yin versus other classes. You want to engage your muscles, and in yin, you're letting things go because you're allowing that fascia to release and let go. That's the idea. And we're going to inhale deeply, exhale, and come back up to center and just notice for a moment. And from here, we're going to come into bound angle pose. So bring the soles of your feet together, sit up nice and tall on your sitting bones. You can either stay upright, and if your knees are up higher, I would recommend staying upright. If they're further down on the ground, then hinge forward at your hips, coming forward any amount, breathing deeply here. And while we're in this pose, I'd like to talk to you about this week's tip. It's great for the holiday season, and it's also good for immune boosting and dealing with stress and all of those end of the year things that might be causing you stress. And it's pretty simple. It's cultivating calm with mindful breathing. We've pretty much been doing that throughout all of today's class. That's kind of the point of today's class, was to slow down, Really notice your breath, breathing deeply in and out through your nose, and just seeing how that makes you feel. From here, we're going to come up. Here, I'm going to lie back into Shavasana, so lay flat on your mat, all the way out, legs stretched out long and wide, your arms out long and wide. All back is nice and nestled into the mat, your head is nestled into the mat. Get comfortable. We're going to stay here for 2 minutes. Breathing deeply. And while you're getting comfortable in that position and settling into Shavasana, I'd like to give you an interesting note here that is from an article that I found, and I will include that link in the bottom of this video. It's from a Yoga Journal article about immunity. It's interesting that the heart actually will relax slightly on your exhales. So anytime you find yourself in a stressful situation, lengthen the exhales. Really notice take a nice deep in and out breaths. Inhale. And do this now in Shavasana. Exhale, long, slow exhales. And your heart is relaxing slightly on those exhales. So it's just something to keep in mind. Breathing here nice and deep. Such a simple thing that we just don't think about, but really noticing our breath. Bringing calm into ourselves with some mindful breathing. Just really noticing the breath. We breathe in and out every day. There's no doubt about that. But how often do we really notice the inhale, and notice I exhale, let that go. Inhales and exhales. Mindful breathing will get you through a lot of stressful situations. Arguments, you take a break, take 5, go breathe. Stressful holiday dinner, take 5, go take a breath. Gonna stay here another 30 seconds or so, quiet. Letting everything melts into the mat. And noticing how your body feels after this yen class. For many of you, probably your first yen class. For those of you that need to get on with your day, we're going to come on up. But those that would like to stay longer, please stay on the mat as long as you want in your Shavasana. For those that need to move on with your day, hug your knees into your chest, roll over to either side, and come up to a seated position. I thank you very much for joining me for this class and trying out a yen class. If you've never done it before, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will do more yen classes because it's really good for your body and your mind and your heart. Until next time, namaste.